Hi everyone, my name is Alan Alex. I'm a bird watcher and a research assistant working with the Nature Conservation Foundation, and I'm here to present a work titled A Decade in Flight Highlights of the Long-Term Systematic Bird Monitoring Efforts in Valparai. And before I start, I would like to acknowledge everyone who was a part of it, including the Valparai team, the Western Ghats program, who did the field work for this study, and the bird monitoring team of EPE program of NCF, who helped me in the data analysis part. Now, moving on, Valparai is a plateau situated within the Anamalai hill ranges of Western Ghats. This region is dominated by tea, coffee, and eucalyptus plantations with patches of fragmented evergreen forest in between. Now, this landscape has been the study area for many great hornbill and Malabar great hornbill population studies, like including this site hosts the India's most comprehensive hornbill nest occupancy studies and one of the longest running hornbill nest monitoring efforts as well. And more than that, the annual surveys within the protected areas of the Valparai region are also being conducted here without fail. So, in addition to these pre-existing scientific and surveys within the protected area, Valparai Bird Survey was devised in order to fulfill some objectives, including to get a landscape level idea of the bird diversity and to figure out their long-term population trends, and also to serve as a landscape monitoring activity in order to figure out what are the long-term changes happening within the landscape itself. And this survey aims to produce a simple and reproducible methodology that can also be applied to other landscapes by both researchers and citizen scientists alike. Now, speaking about the study area, this is the Valparai Plateau. You can see that there are 6 road transects that are selected within this landscape, and each of these road transects is 20 kilometers in length. And at each 1 kilometer point within each transect, there would be a point bird count happening with 5 minutes duration. And similarly, after each survey, we will get about 120 point counts from this entire Valparai landscape. So, speaking about the survey methodology, this survey lasts 6 days in the month of March. So, one transect will be covered per day. And why we select the month of March itself? Because that's when the migratory birds are still here and our resident birds are vocalizing prior to their breeding season. This survey has been conducted annually since the year 2015, and the data collection happens with the help of eBird, where every participant puts up a checklist and shares it with the common Valparai group account. And finally, the data is downloaded from eBird platform via this group account. And in addition to the bird data, the habitat types were also noted down for each location. And similarly, 7 habitat types were identified. One is entirely forest habitats. The second group will be forest and plantation areas with forest and plantations overlapping each other. And the final category would be plantation habitats only. Now, moving on to the data analysis part, the data from 2016 to 2025 was selected in order to account for the unified methodology, and 72 species of birds were selected in such a way that these birds are represented throughout this 10-year period. And the checklist data from each location was taken in and expanded in such a way that the birds that are not present there are treated as absences. The Then the modeling part comes in where we used a binomial generalized linear model with year and habitat as the predictors with a bootstrap resampling with a bootstrap value of 1000 to estimate the uncertainty that's happening in the predicting the reporting frequencies, with 2016 kept as the baseline value. Now, with these predictions, we plotted line graphs with the confidence interval from bootstrapping, and from which we derived upon population trends for each species. Now, speaking of the results, there were 199 bird species recorded in this entire 10-year period during the systematic survey, which is more than half the number of the total birds that have ever been reported from the Valparai landscape. Now, speaking of the population trends, eight species showed significant population change within the landscape, of which six were increasing and two were decreasing, which includes Indian peafowl, which follows the national trend here also, is showing a great amount of increase within the landscape. Similarly, Eurasian hoopos are also showing an increase. Plum-headed parakeets are also showing an increase, but not as much as the Indian peafowl or the hoopoe. And our favorite corvids are unfortunately showing a decline within the landscape. The house crow and the large-billed crow are showing significant amount of decline from the 2016 baseline value. Now moving on, Asian fairy bluebirds, orange-headed thrush, and understory birds like the puff-throated babbler are also showing an increase within the landscape. So, moving on to the conclusion part, this Valparai bird survey was able to generate long term bird population trends from the Valparai landscape. And also, this survey highlights how a simple methodology can be used for successful ecological monitoring to produce scientifically valid results in such a way that we can have the joy of bird watching and also foster science and community participation throughout the process. And most importantly, this survey framework can be adapted in other landscapes as well, which can be executed by both citizen scientists and researchers alike, producing meaningful results. So that's all. Thank you.